you check the children? Show a little match sometimes.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes. That is what
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird.
And we got Jaime and Fuego here.
And we are back finally to get back to our Chucky discussion for season 2. I felt so bad after, we did the first episode and I'm like, hey, we're back with our weekly Chucky coverage. Yeah. And then I just got so busy preparing for Dylan's New Nightmare. And quite frankly, not that many people watched that first review. Whereas in the first season, the first episode got a couple thousand views. This one barely broke like 300 views. So I was like, okay, clearly people aren't as curious about this as compared to the newer movies coming out, which all did, much better view-wise. So we just focused on that, and I focused on Dylan's New Nightmare. By the way, we are literally 2 days away from filming as of right now, so this is going to be the last episode that we're going to get recorded like this in the very near future. We'll miss all of next week. I've got content that's going to go up that we've been sitting on for a bit. And then we'll be back the following Sunday filming stuff. So there might be a little gap, yeah.
Yeah. I was admittedly a little bit behind on this show. So the first 3 episodes are all available to watch for free on sci-fi.com, and I think they're also on YouTube. But it's 4 and 5 that are kind of doing their own thing, and I'm not loving it quite as much as I was initially. I mean, if I'm going to be just completely fair, I genuinely think like they're overstuffing the turkey a little bit with this season, and also with the fact that they're kind of jumping around because we have the separate Tiffany story, obviously, that they really explored in the murder mystery episode, and then we have the separate stuff going down at the school, and so I might like the kids more in this season, but I still think that it's just a little busy. How about you, man?
So this season has been a weird roller coaster ride, and I was digging, the first episode because it did feel like the kids had grown a little bit, and then it took that weird turn at the very end to get them to the Catholic school. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, I was like, wow, okay, how weird is this season going to get? And then it sort of slid back into the Chucky that we knew from last season, but the kids, again, I feel like were more enjoyable this year. The new antagonists, the priests and the nuns, they are the sisters, they are fine. I like that there's some differences in between them. They're not all just disciplinarians, some are, I think going to end up on the side of the children and stuff like that. But
one in particular being significantly more compassionate, for sure.
Right. But they've done some, this season has also veered hard into the seed of Chucky of it all, which has been, famously my least favorite installment of the franchise. But it's one of your, you like it, right?
I do appreciate it. I mean, I'm a big Bride is my favorite Chucky.
Yeah, I knew Bride was your favorite, but
yeah. Steve was a little bit odd, obviously, and that was one where I don't know how much I've enjoyed the handling of just reintegrating that stuff into the storytelling with the two, actual actors that are playing this personality.
So that's what I wanted to get to, though, because it gets weird into the seed of Chucky stuff. The show gets weird, but I actually really am digging how they've brought, we knew Glenn and Glenda were coming in this season from the trailer. But when they brought it in, the fact that they both feel like something inside them is missing, and they're having nightmares about what they did as a doll, but they can't explain it because Tiffany never actually explained to them what happened. I am digging the drama of that. I didn't think that, obviously I didn't know that's what they were going to do, but I am quite enjoying that. And then the big reveal in episode 5, again, we're going to be talking about the whole series so far, but so if you don't want to know, turn back now. But basically,
about some characters being still alive.
The fact that the original, oh my God, Tiffany took over the body of. Why am I spacing her fucking name, dude? Oh my God, Jennifer Tilly. Yeah, Jesus Christ.
And how about the the fact that it got so meta with even bringing in Meg, her sister, and Gina Gershon playing herself, and
Joey Pants.
Yeah, man, they have gone full blown meta, and that's probably where like the similarity to Seed is the most evident, I would say, with the tone of some of that stuff.
Well, and the silliness of Buff Chucky. I think that's also very Seed-like.
Yeah, and also Good Chucky. And
I am liking Good Chucky. Like, that's another aspect that I'm enjoying. So let's just kind of let's cruise through it. Yeah, well, those overall thoughts. So my overall thoughts are, yeah, I'm actually enjoying the season, wackiness and all, because it's being handled so interestingly, and it's not something I ever would have expected. So.
Yeah, I've still enjoyed it, but I will double down on the fact that I feel like they're overstuffing the turkey a little bit because there's so much going on between the different storylines, between the stuff at the school, between the whole Jennifer Tilly angle, and the fact that I almost feel like Fiona Durf is being a little underutilized in this season thus far. I mean, despite the big nastiness of missing limbs and all that craziness. So, but I mean, I'm not going to give them any sort of crap for the fact that they're not being ambitious, because they're most definitely doubling down with, just all kinds of lore and pretty much incorporating just about everything from all of those previous films. So
yeah, let's go through real quick. Episode 2 honestly didn't leave much of an impact for me, because I watched the episode and then like the next day I was like, oh shoot, we might need to try and review that. And I'm like, wait, what happened? Like, there really wasn't much that happened in that second episode, so it didn't leave very much of an impression on me. It was just the kids getting settled, getting deeper into the drama of them as Chucky slowly starts to reveal that he's there at the school with them, right? That was basically that episode.
More or less.
What did you think of that one?
I mean, it's been a few weeks since I've watched it now.
Yeah, I know.
At this particular point, but yeah, man, I didn't. That felt more so like the establishment of what, like, just the tone and the storytelling, whereas the episode 1 was like almost it could have been from the first season, because even with Jake with the different haircut and everything, it was like episode 2 is where they established much more so just the whole religious vibe and everything, which I still appreciated, but yeah, it was agreeably not incredibly memorable. Now, 3 and 4 specifically being drastically different as we get to those. I mean, the whole murder mystery episode was.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that in 4, but 3 was its own interesting thing, because this is where it started to become apparent that, oh my gosh, there's a lot that can happen in this season, and that's when they capture Chucky and decide to brainwash him, which I don't know how the kids got proficient in, brainwashing techniques. I guess Google or YouTube or something, but they basically force one of the Chucky dolls to watch a bunch of destruction until he gets to the point where he starts puking, and then watching a bunch of kids things like puppies and unicorns and everything. And somehow, after doing that for like a day or less than a day, he's completely brainwashed and is now good Chucky.
Yeah, it was a very Clockwork Orange sort of situation with the holding the eyelids open and everything. But I mean, there were their fair share of conveniences in the fact that Devon Sawa's character is like the head of the school, is like, I need the doll back, by this particular time at night, and they seem to just be going free range in that regard. What I have honestly enjoyed is Lexi's roommate, and just her cute derpiness has been incredibly endearing. And I mean, the confession scene, I think that was episode 3, was quite amusing to me. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's actually where we get introduced. I think it was it that scene in particular where we find out that there's almost a monster on the loose, but it turns out it's just Buff Chucky that is, taking the time to get himself swole, and his voice is a little bit low from, steroids or whatever.
Yeah, and how he contends he's like, I never skip arm day or whatever the bit is, which is kind of funny. I also have to give a shout out to Brad Dourif, and like playing the nice Chucky. I feel like it's shown some of his strengths as a voice actor a little bit more so, man.
Yeah.
Like that the bit with Lexi where asking about, do you have a boyfriend? And
Mhm.
she thinks about Junior, which is a callback to the first season and everything, and how she is. I couldn't stand her in the first season, dude, but she's become a much more intriguingly complex character with the addiction aspect and all the pain that she's experienced. She's not just super B with a capital exclamation point like she was in the first season. She's much more layered, and the performance has been, more impressive, I would say.
And I like that they kind of subverted expectations with the dude that they got booted from school, showing back up and trying to be a dick, but her like shutting that shit down immediately.
Yeah,
Being
she's
sorry. I have too much shit going on to deal with you. And like, you know what I mean? So yeah. I like that. So yeah, I'm liking some of the, a good amount of the writing that we're getting in this. I mean, a lot of it is super silly. But then, yeah, so episode 3, they brainwash good Chucky. He actually goes back to the priest's office himself so that the kids won't get in trouble. But at the very end of the episode, he is confronted by Buff Chucky, and it's left off at a cliffhanger. So the silliness of that episode really had me kind of worried, like, what is going to happen? But they brought it the silliness sort of paid off in a lot of ways in the 5th episode, which we'll get to. So as of right now, I'm a fan of what he's doing. So episode 3. Now, with episode 5, in hindsight, I like episode 3 probably more than I would have said had we reviewed episode 3 immediately afterwards.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I mean, you still, with that particular kid who we were just discussing, the one you chose to bully Lexi, like, it's still one of the more impressive kills of the show in this particular season, I would say, with what happens with him and the looking through like the chest cavity and stuff, I thought was pretty dope.
I mean, that was very CG hole in the body situation, but
it was.
But I was here for it. I was like, all right, let's see how you guys do it. It wasn't bad. So yeah, that was an interesting, definitely more gruesome moment. But let's get into episode 4, because episode 4 was basically a complete departure, going over to tell a Tiffany side story, which is the murder mystery episode. Why don't you go ahead through that one?
Well, and the fact that the kids weren't in it at all, and it was very exclusively kind of looking upon that mythology and what has happened with the Tiffany character, and most notably both the doll and the Jennifer being taken over and stuff. It was very meta, increasingly so. The fact that Gina Gershon shows up, who was in Bound with Jennifer Tilly,
and they've got a relationship going, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, which is not surprising. Although the stuff with the sister I found the most interesting, where like she was calling things out, and it was becoming increasingly apparent that she is not actually my sister. There's somebody else in that body. I mean, the Blues Brothers reference was funny too.
Yeah.
And just like describing stuff that would be very easily accessible in the realm of public knowledge, as opposed to actually being her sister and knowing those personal sorts of bits. So it still could have dealt with a little more carnage. One of my few critiques was that the Glenn and Glenda, I felt the acting was a little wooden from the both of them at times, but aside from that, I really don't have a lot of like nasty critiques or anything. It was drastically different, and props to them for that.
Is that 2 people, or is that, I think that's one person playing both roles?
Is it?
Yeah, I believe so, because they're meant to be twins, and every time they're in a shot together, it's basically a split screen. Otherwise, one of them has their back turned to the other one, which can just be a person in a wig and stuff like that. So I believe it's the same actor, whatever, shit.
Yeah.
Playing the role.
Careful with the pronouns.
I know. But nonetheless, I think that's the case. I could be wrong, but they're intended to be twins, and the way that it's shot is very like, oh, this is the same person playing the same role, or playing 2 different roles, rather.
It was late last night when I was watching it, so man, if that's the case, like, I mean, even more significant props to them, I suppose.
I mean, I can check it out, but go through just real briefly what happened in the episode for people.
Yeah, so there is it's almost like an intervention is maybe the best way that I could describe it, but it's also, kind of a cocktail party amongst both Glenn and Glenda, and also just the inquiring with the person that they think is the mom, but maybe I'm getting some stuff from 4 and 5 mushed together a little bit, because there is a little bit of the reveal of the fact that it is not in fact the woman that they think is their mother. And maybe that's in the 5th episode. Damn, I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to recall.
That was in 5.
That is in 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we know that she was hiding something in episode 4, but that was Nika. So yeah, she had Nika captured, and then the twins end up finding Nika.
Oh, that's right. That's when she got the fake appendages and made her escape, and then we have the return of Kyle. That was in episode 4.
Right, that was nice to
Yeah.
see. I did like to see that, and then we also found out in episode 5 that Andy's still alive too. So, yeah, both Kyle and Andy are still out there, so that's good to know. But yeah, that was a fun reveal. Okay, hang on. So, I didn't even realize that. Okay, so no, that makes sense. Wow. Okay. I probably did misgender once here. Yes, okay. So Lachlan Watson is an American actor best known for playing Theo Putnam on Chilling Adventures of Serena, who Theo was a girl that transitioned into being a boy on the show. And now they're playing Glenn and Glenda on the Sci-Fi Channel series. So
Okay, so
yep.
It is the same actor.
Same actor, yep. Okay, cool. That's good to know.
Nice. Yeah, well, that's something I didn't pick up on, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was getting, but I didn't realize it was the actor that played Theo. That's kind of cool. So I liked Sabrina. That was a good show. But but nonetheless, that so yeah, that episode was interesting. I had fun with it because basically, while Tiffany has guests over, Gina Gershon or whatever, was it to celebrate her birthday? Was it a surprise birthday thing or just a surprise party kind of thing?
I think it was the latter, but I mean, yeah. Regrettably, since I watched it late last night.
Yeah. Either way, they showed up and it was a surprise to Tiffany, but it ended up being just a lot of fun, and I just enjoyed that episode, the wackiness of it. And then episode 5 is when it gets even kind of nuttier, where, as we said earlier, it's revealed we get both the kid storyline and the Tiffany storyline, because Tiffany is upset at Glenn, who has taken off with Fiona, but Glenda is still there with her, and she finds out that Tiffany, or I might have reversed that. I think Glenda might have gone with Fiona and Glenn stayed, but either way.
Yeah, I was going to say that the short-haired of the two, I know that one has the longer, more effeminate look.
Yeah, that's Glenn. Glenda has the short hair. Yeah.
Okay.
But nonetheless, they find the one that's there. Glenn finds out that they weren't necessarily actually Tiffany, Jennifer Tilly's children, but rather they find out Tiffany Valentine. Like, it was really cool to see Jennifer Tilly get to deliver that line, "I'm Tiffany Valentine." I thought that was a really cool, fun little performance to finally be able to admit that after all these years and stuff for the character.
Yeah, she's really shown her strengths. As I mean, she has run the gamut as well, in my estimation, with everything that has been asked of her. With both playing a meta version of herself at times, but yet also the Tiffany character. I mean, she is one of the unsung heroes. I wish that Fiona would have a little bit more to chew upon, because in the scenes that we've seen, especially with the two of them, I mean, they play very well off each other, I would say.
I feel like they're actually going to be leading the Andy, Kyle, and all that. I feel like they're going to be saving that big confrontation for season 3, because there's only 3 episodes left in this season, if it's going to be 8 episodes like the first season.
Yeah, I think so.
That would be that's a lot to bring in the last 3 episodes again. I mean, maybe they'll try, but I feel like they should just wrap up the school, and then for season 3 continue that. I guess it's not confirmed they're going to get a season 3. I don't know if it's performing as well as season 1 did, but
I thought they were already renewed for a 3rd, but perhaps I'm wrong.
You might be right. Yeah. But nonetheless, that 5th episode was also good because it starts off with the confrontation. Ooh, excuse me. Starts off with the confrontation of Buff Chucky and Good Chucky, who ends up being, you know, a little more adept with things. He can tap in to the bad side in order to help his friends if need be, because he ends up, you know, crucifying the Chucky doll against the priest's door, and it was a pretty fun little scene. What did you think of that?
Oh, I thought it was solid, man. The fact that we keep going back to the whole crucifixion aspect, because there was even that teacher who was showing one of those first representations of it, and I think that was maybe episode 3, if I recall correctly. The one who has significant empathy and has kind of picked up on, you know, the fact that Jake and then the whole situation with their sexuality, obviously. But yeah, Devon Sawa, a little bit underutilized in my estimation in this different role. I mean, I suppose...
I think it's fine. I didn't expect him to be in it much more than he is. I like that he started off as like good guy, but now as he's starting to see things happen, he's like, no, these guys are evil, you know. And I'm like, okay, he's getting a little more to play with now.
Yeah, I still have to say, like, Lexi has outshined the boys a little bit in this one, as far as like our trio that were all sentenced to this school. She's impressed me significantly, you know, as an actress. Some of those scenes of vulnerability, as opposed to, you know, being like straight up bitch face.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. So yeah, I still think that overall the acting is improved this season. I like, you know, they set up a bunch of crazy shit by the end of season 1 that I was like, what are they going to do? But he's actually weaving it together in an interesting way, and I'm liking what he's doing, as crazy as it is, as Seed of Chucky as it is. They did confirm that the movie they were talking about is the movie they were making in Seed of Chucky when the body swap happened. Remember that line in the first episode that people were confused by?
Yep.
So yeah, it did end up being that movie, which is what I thought at the time. So I hope that's been cleared up for everyone. But otherwise, yeah, I'm enjoying this season. I'm along the wackiness train with them, and I'm interested to see what happens in the last 3 episodes, which, by the way, since we can't review next episode, that'll only be 2 left, so we might as well just wait and review the final 3 episodes and then the whole season as a whole for the last video for this. So
yeah, agreed. But yeah, I mean, shout out once again to the fact that, you know, Tilly and the actress who plays Lexi specifically, I think, have really had adequate time to shine in this particular season, much more so than the boys a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. The boys are still just playing, you know, lovebirds, and there's not much further depth than that, and it's like, it's kind of a bummer. But
yeah, a little bit.
I mean, the relationship is fine. It's just not going any deeper than that, you know. So, all right. So yeah, I don't know. Anything else you want to say about this? I feel like we've covered pretty much most of it here. Oh, effects wise, are you happy with how the effects have been going?
I mean, there's not as much carnage as I was hoping for.
Yeah, there's really not.
I mean,
it's more Chucky on Chucky violence than.
yeah. Well, or even just, I mean, strangling the priest in the confessional, stuff like that. I mean, aside from the bully and the kill that I mentioned earlier, there really hasn't been much as far as like really graphic and grotesque. So
sure. Yeah. I mean, a kid got blown up, but we didn't really see it.
Yeah.
We didn't really see it, so I mean. So anyway, yeah, I think I agree. The effects are working fine for me, except there's a lack of them, unfortunately. You know,
how about the Chucky stuff, though? I mean, have you been happy with the look of the doll? And
yeah, I think it's interesting. I think they're trying some different things for movement, and I think some of it's working pretty well. There hasn't really been anything. There was a moment in season 1 that the way they shot it looks really bad. There haven't been any moments like that for me yet. Where I was like, ooh, that just looks bad. It just, some of it is clearly stuff that an actual practical doll couldn't do. Some of it is clearly stuff that is a little human, a child in a Chucky suit running out of the room from waist below. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, some of it still doesn't blend quite as well as you'd hope, but it's not bad. I've been enjoying it, so.
Pretty nice. Well, and I mean, Brad obviously sells the character so much with his terrific voice work. So.
Yeah, I agree. You mentioned him earlier, especially with Good Chucky, and I think he's just doing regular Chucky that they pitched down a little bit for Buff Chucky. But if he's doing that, you know, that's pretty fun too. But yeah, the Good Chucky development is something I really am enjoying. I like that wrinkle. I don't know that I like that they literally baptized him to get rid of the badness. And not only that, but when they were doing it, they got to the point of committing to Christ, and then they were like, we can skip all that. And it's like, why would you get to the baptism and skip that part? Like, I don't know. It was a weird choice, but it was a choice.
Yeah. It's still interesting because Devin seems to be the most distrustful of this incarnation of Chucky. You know, I mean, Jake and Lexi are just like all for it. It seems like. So
yeah.
I don't know. Is he the voice of reason? I guess only last few episodes will determine. So.
All right, guys. So I think that's going to do it for this review of episodes 2 through 5 of the second season of Chucky. Sorry it's taken a bit to get back to this. We will be back to review the final 3 episodes in the season as a whole in a few weeks after Dylan's New Nightmare is all filmed and finished. So thank you guys very much for watching. Thank you to all of our patrons for supporting the channel the way that you do. We greatly appreciate it. Until next time, I've been Cecil Laird.
And Gracias, Jaime and Fuego.
And remember, stay scared.
Yeah.